Welcome to The Explainer. If you want to understand how our modern world actually works, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Think Neva channel. Imagine modern society disappearing. Rewind the clock back 290,000 years to a landscape with 0 words, 0 laws, and 0 cities. Early humanity was entirely nomadic. The daily baseline condition was strict survival, requiring every ounce of energy just to hunt and gather enough calories to see the next week. Moving from a wandering group of hunters to a highly structured society requires an enormous leap in problem solving. A group has to invent the very concept of organization from absolute scratch. This vintage map highlights the specific patch of land where that leap occurred: Mesopotamia, situated between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The people who settled here were among the first to navigate the logistical challenges of living together in high densities, creating many of the tools we still use to organize our lives today. To see why we live in cities today, we have to look at the specific environmental and social problems these early humans were forced to solve. The first major hurdle was the environment itself. As you can see in this landscape, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were wild, dominating forces, prone to sudden floods and brutal droughts. Basic survival was incredibly difficult. To stay alive, they needed to harness that volatile water. They solved this by inventing massive artificial irrigation networks, complex canals designed to redirect the rivers into dry farmland. Digging and maintaining miles of canals required tremendous manpower. That necessity forced thousands of people to stop moving, settle in one place, and organize their labor. That massive scale of organized human labor created the world's first true city-states. You can see the result in the ziggurat of Ur, a massive stepped brick structure that required thousands of people working together to build. These first cities functioned as collective survival engines, engineered specifically to manage water and keep crops alive. Once agriculture stabilized, a new bottleneck emerged. Successful farming generated immense surpluses of grain and livestock, and human memory simply could not track who owned what. This clay tablet shows the distinct pictographs of cuneiform. Writing emerged as a pragmatic tool for accounting, rather than art. Notice the linear divisions carved into the clay. These early tablets functioned like spreadsheets, using specific grouped marks to represent distinct ledgers and tally wealth. By moving from memory to physical records, they enabled the administrative oversight required to manage a growing society's resources. As city populations exploded into the tens of thousands, informal tribal traditions broke down. You could no longer rely on handshakes when strangers had to live shoulder to shoulder. The tall basalt stele seen here contains the Code of Hammurabi. It moved society away from arbitrary whims and established a fixed, universal system. By carving rules physically into stone, they made the philosophical leap that laws apply visibly and predictably to everyone, creating a stable framework for public life. Administering these massive societies also required standardizing how they measured reality itself. This animation illustrates the base 60 mathematical system they invented. By dividing units into 60 equal segments, they standardized trade, geometry, and ultimately the organization of time. Written codes of law and mathematical standardization were the final tools needed to transform chaotic crowds into a functioning society. As you can see in these crumbly, sun-dried brick ruins, the physical empires of Mesopotamia eventually collapsed and blended back into the barren landscape. It is a stark contrast to their peak majesty, when massive structures like the reconstructed bright blue Ishtar Gate projected power and immense wealth. Their true legacy lives in the systems they pioneered: the 60-second minute, our legal contracts, and the concept of urbanization. Thank you so much for watching this explainer. Every time we use a 60-second minute or sign a legal contract, we are repeating human behaviors that were first refined thousands of years ago in the dirt between two rivers.